I'm Mel.
And I'm Mark.
And this is the Cerebral Sports Podcast. On the Cerebral Sports Podcast, we champion the mental development, wellness, and health of athletes, big, small, professional, and amateur.
Week to week, we'll have compelling conversations with athletes, coaches, parents, and mental health professionals to discuss their experiences and point of views as we work to bring awareness to the most vital muscle in an athlete's body, the mind. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Cerebral Sports Podcast. I'm Marlon. I'm here with my brother Jamel, the curator of Cerebral Sports, and we're joined by two esteemed guests today. We have Jonathan Edwards, all the way from the Carolinas, and we have my main man, Coach T, who is clearly, he never leaves the gym. You know, his brand is Perfect Your Skills 24/7. He's working 24/7 all the time. So shout out to you two gentlemen. Thank you for joining the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No problem. I just want to give the listeners and everybody just a brief rundown on these guys and why they're here today. You know, we are at Cerebral Sports. We like to talk about where the mind and body meet in athletics. And there's obviously a ton of emphasis that's put into the body and the development of the body where sports is concerned, but not as much effort put into where the mind is concerned. So that's where we want to kind of make those worlds meet and attain some type of like equilibrium, if you will. So I'm gonna start with my man, John Edwards, high school coach, recruiting coordinator, coach, and basketball program or overall sports program director in North Carolina. I want to shout him out really quickly, a Radford University graduate. He has a great picture that I love of him. Are you posting up Anthony Davis or guarding him? I just noticed with Anthony Davis when the unibrow was still connected.
Yeah, he was guarding me on the block. We lost by 40 that game, but I had 10 and 8 though.
All right, shout out.
Yeah, I probably would have ended up in the transfer portal after that game.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. So shout out to John, all the way from Elmont. He's via Elmont, by the way. He's an Elmont alum. Want to shout him out. And then I want to shout out my man, Coach T, man. Coach T, out the gutter, out the mud. Coach T, the sole proprietor of Perfect Your Skills 24/7. He is the trainer of all trainers, and from my perspective, in the Queens, Long Island area. I've seen you package up and send so many kids to school. I've seen you 180 kids where I'm like, T, that's the same kid? And you're like, yes, man. So I want to shout you out. Coach T is a development coach. He's a mentor, and he's the director of Perfect Your Skills 24/7. And when I say 24/7, as I touched on earlier, it really is like that. This man lives in the gym. When they say gym rat, you can't call him a gym rat. You got to call him a gym floorboard because he don't even move. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to shout you out, man. Coach T went to Cardozo High School.
I appreciate you.
Also went to Elmont, and he graduated from Lehman College with an exercise science degree. So I just want to shout you out. And both of these gentlemen are entrenched in the youth athletics community. When I say entrenched, man, I mean it. They work with the kids. They're with the kids. They're for the kids, by the kids, and about the kids every single day. So shout yourselves out, man. Give yourselves a pat on the back because you guys are curating what the future of youth athletics and what these children's futures are going to look like. So I just want to welcome you guys to the show.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
I'm going to kick it off to Jamel. I just said enough. I'm going to kick it to Jamel.
No. First off, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to give us a little bit of the knowledge of what you guys have. I'm gonna start with John, man. I want to know more about your playing career. I know Maul kind of edit that out, touched on it for a little bit, but can you elaborate a little bit about your college career? Where did you start? How did it finish? How did it go when you were playing college basketball?
All right, so as far as college is concerned, right? So, well, if I go back to high school, right? I actually started high school at Elmont Memorial High School. Did not stay there. Got out, left and transferred to a prep school out in New Jersey. And this is another thing, like I reclassified. People like talk about this stuff a lot. And I'm pretty sure people have tons of questions about like that process or whatever. So I did that, right? So I actually, ended up going back a grade. So after graduating high school, right, I had about 15 to about 20 Division I offers. I had like schools like Siena, LaSalle, Fordham, St. Peter's, Iona, like a lot of mid-majors. The issue was that the school I went to for high school, they didn't have their stuff together as far as accreditation was concerned. So I actually ended up having to go play junior college basketball at Tyler Junior College in Texas, a Division I junior college. It's where Jimmy Butler played. He played there actually the year before I went to school there. Did not necessarily know much about junior college at the time, but it ended up actually being a blessing in disguise, really going there and like getting that experience. So I was there from 2008, 2010. And then, well, even before that, my bad, before I went to Tyler, I did a semester at Stony Brook, right? That's originally where I was going, right? And was not my first choice, but because of a lot of the academic stuff and academic issues, I had to go to Stony Brook, and I ended up not staying there, because it just wasn't a place that I felt like I fit in at. So I went and played 2 years at Tyler Junior College, where, we were a top 25, junior college program in the country. Then after the 2 years there, I transferred, went to Radford and played there for 2 different head coaches. One was Brad Greenberg, who was actually at one time the GM of the Sixers. He drafted Allen Iverson. Wow. And then he's the dude that drafted Allen Iverson. And then my senior year, I was coached by Mike Jones, who ended up Mike Jones, right? And he ended up being the coach there for a number of years. He actually got them to the NCAA tournament a year after I was there, and now he's the coach at UNC Greensboro. But that was my playing career. I kind of was like tapped out, man, to be honest, after that senior year. I was not really thinking about playing overseas. I wasn't going to play in the NBA. So I was like, let me just get into coaching. Let me just go ahead and start this coaching thing. I knew I was good at it. I knew I had like part of the reason I wanted to get in coaching was probably 2 coaches. One was my coach at junior college, Mike Marcus, who's got like 700 wins in Division I junior college. He's got, I think 3 or 4 national junior college championships. And he's coached, I think, 4 players that got drafted to the NBA.
Okay.
2 guys when he was coaching at Indian Hills who actually ended up getting drafted out of junior college. So like I learned a lot from him, and I actually ended up working for him later, when I was coaching JUCO ball in Texas for 5 years. And then Mike Jones too as well. Like just their approach to coaching, their approach to how they dealt with players, being disciplined but at the same time, showing that love to guys. So because I've been around a lot of like crazy stuff when it comes to this game as a player. Like I had dealt with a lot of like snakes. I just put a lot of sharks, like a lot of people who were not in it for the right reasons. And as a kid, you're trying to process all this stuff. I mean, it kind of messed me up a little bit. I can't even front. But I think, those relationships I had with those coaches and the time I was with them really inspired me to really go out and coach. So
I love that. I want to hop in real quick because, it's so beautiful how you mentioned the sharks, the snakes, and also I could see the visceral reaction on your face about your senior year of playing ball. And you were like, I'm tapped. And I'm seeing that happen to kids after their senior year of high school or during their senior years of high school.
Sophomore years, you see they tapped out, man.
Guys, one of the things that I always think about for sports, where kids are concerned and the youth are concerned, what is your why? Why do you play sports? I know as a youngster, a lot of times we play sports because our parents put us in, and we love that reaction of go, 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 or the cheering or whatever have you. And we like, as human beings, we innately like to please. You know what I'm saying? We love we get satisfaction out of being cheered on, being celebrated. What was your why? What was your why for basketball? What did it start at? What did it evolve to be? And and I guess, how did that why die as far as, your pursuit of playing is concerned?
As far as playing, when I was younger, I was not very good at ball. Not. I was tall, but I wasn't that good. My thing came from once I really started taking the game serious was like, I have a hard life. I wasn't trying to get out of, a hard situation. I have 2 parents did well. My thing was just, and it's kind of the same approach I have now. Like I just wanted to be better than, just really came down to just being better than some of the dudes in the area in Elmont. Like I just wanted to be, when I come to play, like, yeah, I just want to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple guys got killed. Like I'm not gonna say no names. There was a point where they were better than me, but eventually they weren't. And they probably still aren't. And it's okay. And I don't play no more. But that was really it. And then it started out just being the best guy in Elmont, to being, one of the better players, in Long Island. And then when I was in Jersey, just being one of the best players there, and just kind of that was more so than anything. I wanted, when I came to the gym, people would stop and say, "Oh, yo, John's about to get on the court."
Yeah.
Like, so that was really it. That was, besides that, nothing really else.
What was it that you felt burnt out about? What was it that burnt you out? Because obviously you're talking, the reason why your why is like social comparison, right? So you wanted to socially compare against the guys that were your surroundings, you wanted to be better than. So what point of your competitiveness did you get burnt out? Is where you stopped thinking so much about comparing yourselves to the next person? Like what led to you saying, not burnt out, just like done with it?
Yeah, it ran its course.
Yeah, I think it just was like the hopping around from different schools and not really getting any stability.
Okay.
You're always like starting over from scratch everywhere you're going. And, I think there was a certain part in my life where, when I was probably around 16, well, let's say probably around 17, 18, that I needed probably a certain level of coaching that I just didn't have access to really get myself to that pro level. Gotcha. And on top of that, there was a lot of just changes. My coach my high school coach got fired around that time. I had, I was living with my parents. My parents were in New York. I was in New Jersey, and dealing with all types of stuff. And my parents, like, it just a lot of different things. But I think for me, it just was like, I proved to myself. Well, first, I had a coach at Elmont, 2 coaches at Elmont, who told me I wasn't going to play Division I basketball. I did it, and I was very good at that level. At that point, I was like, all right, like the playing stuff. And when I really processed, thought about that, I was like, yeah, I did that. Now I'm not only going to, I did the Division I thing and I played and I was successful. Now I'm going to multiply myself and make a bunch of other dudes that are better than me. That became my motivation at that point. Because you can't do it, because you can't make any players Division I players. I mean, you can't make Division I players. You can't do it. My bad. Blurt that out. I don't care.
You keep it a go. Let's go.
You can't make Division I players. I can.
Okay.
Now, as a coach, that's how I approach it.
So
I'm trying to get as many kids to college as possible. I'm going to do that because all these coaches who tell kids, oh, you can't play here, you can't play there, and you telling a kid who's 15, 14, 16 years old they can't do something, I have an issue with that. You can't take them, I'll take them. I'll make them better players.
I love that. And we're going to go back into that some more, but I want to also, now that Coach T's here,
yep.
John, that was beautiful. And that's a whole lot of unpacking that I think we're going to really.
Yeah, we got to get tomorrow.
I'm going to get tomorrow as well. T, obviously, I know you from the neighborhood, but let the world know, your playing background, your journey, what led you to the point of where you are right now?
My playing career actually started when I came to Elmont, because I, was born in Brooklyn, but I grew up and was raised in Far Rockaway. So I was literally just telling this story in the Brotherhood about like going back and forth to Harlem when I was young to play basketball, where my father would take me, because my uncle was he was the gym director of this center called Abyssinian. So, my summers was around playing street ball and everything. But I mean, I really got true organization and structured basketball when I came to Elmont in the 7th grade and I played. So I played middle school, And then I ended up playing JV for Hegman at Elmont. And then I did, I was I was okay. I was cool. I played, and then ninth grade year, because during this time I was living with a friend of the family, and I would come back and forth from Elmont to Queens. So obviously that wasn't allowed. So I had to transfer out of Elmont because I got caught. That was the reason why I left Elmont. It wasn't by choice. I wish I would have stayed in Elmont. I mean, I I say it to this day. I think if I would have stayed, I probably would have been a scholarship player, for a fact. But anyway, so I transfer out of Elmont, and then I go to Cardozo and play JV, play my junior year, but then senior year, the guy Ron DeClario, everybody know who Ron DeClario is. Legend. He wanted to go in a different direction in regards to getting, like, to start fresh with the younger guys. So I actually didn't make the team senior year, so I didn't play. So yeah, so
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I graduated. So now I'm gonna tell you the story. So now I graduated Cardozo, but during this time, what I did, I was big on academics. And when I was in Elmont in the 8th grade, I actually earned an academic scholarship from a nonprofit, or it was an African American nonprofit organization. And I had like a mentor and everything. And this mentor, name was Dr. Manning, and he was like a surgeon. And I got accepted because of my grades. And the person that actually helped me with that, God rest his soul, was Greg Petroselli, because he was my guidance counselor at the time, and Al Harper was the principal at the time. So they both pretty much, saw me and what I was doing in Elmont in regards to on the academic side, and presented me with that opportunity. So I had a mentor from 8th grade all the way up until pretty much college. And they paid for my academics. They didn't pay for my room and board. And that's kind of what kind of jacked me up a little bit. But anyway, so I graduate Cardozo. Now I go to Mercy College, which is up in Dobbs Ferry. So I go to Mercy College. My first year, I do not play because obviously I'm near academics. Although I still, I still hoop. Like I played in intramurals. Actually, a story about this is I played in the intramurals 3-on-3, and the guys of Mercy College, the guys that was on the team, was like, "Yo, why don't you play? Or like, why don't you just try out?" This is my freshman year. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I'm here because of academics. The transition from a high school student athlete to a college student athlete, or a college, student, regardless. I wanted to see what that was about and everything. And obviously I didn't want to have my grades slip. So I was like, I'll think about it. But I'm 17, 18 years old, Division II. I mean, you had guys that was coming from junior college. I know we had a guy that was like 33 years on our team. So I'm going against grown men. I'm not ready for this, So so that whole freshman year, I just played intramurals. I got in a weight room, like changed my body. I was in a weight room every single day. The next year, my sophomore year, I actually made the team as a walk-on at Mercy, which was very kind of unheard of because I was going against guys that was like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". And I mean, at my size, my position, I mean, we had that. We had guards. So it wasn't a need. But the guy gave me an opportunity. He was like, "Listen, I'd rather take you over somebody that I got to teach who has height. So I'd rather take you. You got heart. You give it your all." The biggest thing, actually, the biggest determining factor was, and I said this in another podcast, was so Mercy, before tryouts, it was like preseason workout. Mind you, during this time, I live in Queens. I live in Jamaica, Queens, Rockaway Boulevard. They had preseason workout at 6 a.m. They had it every single day. So for me, if I wanted to separate myself. If I wanted to make this team, I had to make it my business to get there every single day at 6 a.m. They only did this for like 2 weeks though, because it was preseason. So I woke up around like 3 o'clock, 3:30, got on 2 buses, 2 trains, and then had to walk from the Metro North to Mercy College, which was like half a mile. And I did that and made it like literally right there at like 5:45, 5:50 every single day for the last 2 weeks. And so with me not knowing, players saw that, but most importantly, the assistant coach who kind of like vouched for me because the assistant coach was living on the campus because he was a young assistant coach. It was the head coach was traveling back and forth. He told the head coach like, "Yo, I have watched this young man. I have watched this young man be the first person here, the earliest, and we got some guys that lived on campus that couldn't make it to 6 a.m. workouts, and he was here every single day during the 2 weeks." And so the head coach was like, wait, so he was like, you travel back and forth? I was like, yeah, because I don't got a car. And once again, because of my academics, they was only covering my academics. So I didn't have no finances to room and board. So he was like, wow, that's profound. Like that's crazy. I never heard of anything like that. So then tryouts come. I did my thing in tryouts, and then I made the team. We had a so-so season. We was good. It's just we wasn't really. Everybody was into individuality, so it was tough. Then the next year, what happened was my my brother Hutch wanted me to come to Malloy and play with him at Malloy. So the word got out, and my head coach kind of felt the way about that. I'm like, no, man, like that did not come from me. But Hutch really wanted me to be at Malloy. I'm like, bro, Malloy doesn't have my major. It doesn't have exercise science. I'm not going there. So my head coach felt the way, but he ended up leaving anyway. He found a job, I think, at Concordia, I believe. So a new coach came in, and I'm like, well, the old coach gave me an opportunity. I don't think this new coach is. So I ended up transferring to Lehman College.
Yep.
So I transferred to
I'm sorry.
You can hear
me? I can hear you. I just want to hop in real quick. Crazy story, like the travels and everything like that. And I don't think that obviously the listeners and all the people that are going to see this, the thousands and millions of people that's going to listen to this eventually, they don't know your height. They don't know how tall you are. You mentioned the 6'6" guys and all of this and everything like that. How tall are you?
I'm 5'7", bro.
On a good day.
On a good I think I'm probably 5'7.5" on a good day, but I'm 5'7", bro. Yeah.
So finish up for us real quick. So
yeah.
The Lehman part.
Yeah. So I transferred to Lehman. Now, mind you, Lehman is Division III, right? And obviously, there's no knock on Division III. But I'm like, if I made Division II, Lehman would be easy. It's Division III. The competition is completely different, and it was. Don't get me wrong. I was killing over there. And I'm not one of those guys to tweet my own horn or anything, but I was killing. And I even had players and everything say that. Head coach just had he had his own plan, had his own direction. So I never made Lehman. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, I come over from Division II. We're playing Malloy, CW Post, Bridgeport, Queens College. I'm playing that type of competition. To come over to Lehman, right, to play Division III in CUNY. And basketball is basketball, but it's different. And I'm like, and I don't make this team. I did everything. So I said, it's okay, no problem. So I just ended up finishing my degree. And then, that's when I not met, because I always knew of obviously John and Marlon. But when I came to Elmont, it was myself, and I was hanging with my guy, Brian Hutchison. So, but after I was done with Lehman, or during that time, is when I became a part of this brotherhood, and they was the ones that really said, "Hey, yo, T, why don't you just put your passion into coaching?" And when I grew up, I didn't know you can have a coach or a trainer. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, hold on, number one. I can do this and make a living. I never knew that, because when I first started, Marlon to tell you, I started training his brother Morgan, and I'm just doing it for the love, like just to help him grow. And I did this all volunteer. So I'm like, to make a living, I can actually be a coach to somebody. I can be a mentor to somebody. I can be a trainer to somebody. Never in my wildest dreams. So I got into that, and I mean, 11 years later, we are here. But yeah, I mean, that was, in a nutshell, that was pretty much my playing career. I mean, obviously, I still play. And then when I was done with Lehman, I played like a half a season because it folded for the Westchester Dutchmen. It was an ABA team because the assistant coach that was at Lehman was so devastated that I didn't make the team. He actually started the Westchester Dutchmen and gave me the opportunity to play.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
But because ABA was only just like a platform, it wasn't no finances or anything behind it, it folded. So that was my little stint of like playing pro, I guess.
We're not gonna minimize it, because your story, your journey is beautiful. And I learned something today, and I've known you for a long time, and I learned a few things today. And hearing about your journey really informs me and lets me know as to why you're so great at what you do with the kids now. So I want to give you kudos for that. And as a trainer and as a coach, man, you are phenomenal. And Jay kind of touched on something earlier. It's something that I always thought of coming up, and something that you just touched on is I could be a coach and mentor and train. And Jay said that there was a time where he didn't have the coach that he needed to help him elevate and get to that next level. And you guys can both answer this question. What does someone like yourselves do for a young player? And I'm not talking about the high school coach, because we know about them high school coaches, and a lot of them, and no disrespect, and this is not towards the ones that are really in it to win it for the kids, but the ones who are there for the OT, for the check, right? You guys are not that, right? I know y'all care about your bag now, because you care about the bag, but you guys are you are culture shapeshifters when it comes to kids, confidence creators when it comes to kids, right? Tell me what you see or what y'all do for the kids that they probably don't get elsewhere. And both of y'all answer this question. Whoever want to go first, go first.
Good. Oh, yeah. I mean, Lo, it touches back to what you said. I just remember, right, going back to what John said. If I would have had a coach like me at a younger age, I mean, I just remember when I was playing ball in Far Rockaway, like literally sun up, sun down. And the only guys that was outside of my dad, but he was a hooper, but he wasn't a guy that was like like he wasn't a coach. He was a hooper. So, but he wasn't going to say, you need to work on your left hand. You need to work on your jump shot. When I was younger, I didn't have a jump shot. So if I would have had a jump shot when I was younger, if I'm thinking about myself now, I would have been, way better. I had a very good handle. I mean, that's because everywhere I went, I dribbled the basketball. But anyway, so to be that for someone else was simply because obviously I never had. And I'm like, all of this knowledge and experience and and just being around guys that play ball, being around a culture. I mean, I pretty much saw what it can do for a kid if they had that. If they had that resource, or even if they had that person like myself or like Jay. So I'm like, forget about the money and everything, or forget about, like, that's who I want to be. That's who I want to be for these young men and these young ladies.
Women.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So and these young women. So it was very like I say, I tell the story and then Jay can go. Like, I'm literally going back to your brother, training your brother. I start training other guys, and I'm literally doing this all out of love, like, because obviously it was something that was brought to me. Because once again, during that time, you guys saw how emotional I was. I was still caught up with playing. Like, I still wanted to play. I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm like, nah, you're not going to tell me I'm not good. Like, but they was like, I mean, you can still play, but you can also, while you play, you can also impact kids and mold them. And so when I was doing all of that, it was more so just I really generally want to help these kids grow. because if I would have had this at their age, God knows where I would be, same thing with John. So it wasn't until I started like really training, and me and Jay we trained in Linden SDA, which was our first stomping grounds in
That was
regards to
a church, right? Was that a church? Seventh-day Adventist?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a false church.
Man. and me and Jay had some workouts in there.
So
but
let me jump in first. Let me jump in. I want to kick it to Jay real quick.
Yeah.
Jay, like again, like the same question applies to you as far as like what you guys do and what you provide to the kids and to the youth, and how it differentiates from the coaches who are just there for the overtime and things like that. But tell me about what you feel like it brings to the kids, what it adds to their potential and their confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what I'm about to say, people may not like it, but I don't care.
That's often the case when you speak, but continue.
So I say this in context because I've coached college ball. I've coached guys who've played, for money. I've coached guys who've played all levels of basketball, right? Division 1, 2, 3, NAI, whatever. 95, and I've watched high school basketball literally everywhere in this country. 95% of the high school coaches in this country are incompetent and should not be coaching. The problem is, I'm not these kids' fan. I'm not their fan, right? I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself in regards to lying to you or fill your head with nonsense. I'm here to make you better. I'm here to teach you life lessons. I'm here to assess where you are right now and tell you where you could be if you put the work in. And I think when people talk about confidence or instilling confidence, they often think you have to lie or inflate their ego. No, you tell them, hey, this is what you can do. But there are certain things either that you're doing or not doing that's keeping you from getting there. I have to, as a coach, be able to assess that, where your weak points are. What things don't you do well? What things can you get better at? What things that you do good at that you need to quadruple down on? Because everybody there, you got to work on your weakness. Okay, yeah, you got to work on your weaknesses, but how about we really get your strengths to the point to where your weaknesses become, not even a part of discussion. You think, telling Draymond Green, who has, great player, horrendous touch, but do you think, spending a bunch of time working with him on his post moves is going to really maximize him right now? No, but tripling down on his passing, on his rebounding, on his conditioning, all that other stuff, that's what makes him very valuable. So as a coach, whether you're training, right, and I always use the term, and Tamar knows this, everybody's a trainer now. Everybody's a freaking trainer. I don't even like to call myself a trainer. I just happen to be a coach who knows how to train players. That's all. Because, these guys, I run into these dudes all the time. I'm a trainer. Everybody got an IG page with that are training, doing some drills and stuff like that. Anybody can put cones out there and chairs out there, but can you teach that player how to function within a team? Can you teach them how they're going to get the attention of college coaches? And what are those things that they are going to need to showcase so they can stand out and get people's attention? Because there's tons of hoopers and you're just another hooper out here. So these are the things that, when I talk about incompetent coaches, they're not thinking about this stuff. And that's the thing that we're trying to provide for.
Very, very well said, man. And speaking to Marlon's point, and the way I shape the conversations is two kinds of coaches in the world, right? There's transformative, right? And it sounds like you guys are both transformative coaches, the guys that are really trying to transform the kids, right? And then there's transactional. So Marlon's point of working for OT, or your point for the 95% that you believe shouldn't be there, they're probably there for their own personal gain. And I know from your standpoint, Coach T, and also John, because I know a lot about your background, it seems like you guys are in it for the same of the right reasons, right? And then when we talk about confidence, and just from the psychology part, right? Because I this is part of the podcast and what we're doing from the sports psychology standpoint, there are two different kinds of confidences, right? There's the outcome confidence, which you see on IG pages, what you see is some of these coaches just posting, the wins and the losses. And then there's performance confidence. And it sounds like from you talking, John, and also UT, you guys are working more on the performance side, right? Being honest and real with the player, showing them the ways that they can kind of improve their game inside out. But I would like for you both to kind of touch on more on some of the things that you see now with these kids that, come with their parents, and the parents say to you, hey, my son doesn't have confidence. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you take these athletes that come in that either should be playing and playing better, or should not be playing at all, or may have inflated confidence where they're cocky, walking around thinking they're better than what they really are? How do you guys go about dissecting that and then building these kids back to where they can kind of function and continue to get better?
So that's actually what I feel is one of my strongest suits, and how I kind of like separate myself. Because I always said to myself, before I can improve you as a player, I want to know and get to know you as a person first, and touch who you are individually as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what things you respond well to, and what things you don't respond well to. And just building a relationship with the kid that no matter what, they feel like trust me. And I feel like a lot of players that I have, or a lot of players that I have worked with, same thing with John, I think they feel that they can trust myself and on John and Jay. So for me, dealing with kids who struggle with lack of confidence, a lot of it stem down from it just being a whole, like it being mental, because we all know the game is 90% mental and 10% physical. And a lot of times the 90%, which is mental, never get addressed. So there's just through conversations, it can be seeing how well kids do in drills. I may give them like challenges in the drill, but it's more so just having a better understanding of who that person inside of that player is. Getting to know that person first beyond basketball. And that's just my way of helping them get through certain challenges or obstacles, especially confidence wise. I just literally started training this kid who very good kid. He's about like 6'5", 6'6". He's one of the premier players out here in Long Island. But his thing that people attach or what people perceive him to be is a kid that lashes out, a kid that is not mature, and stuff like that.
So, John, if you can elaborate on that, why Coach T kind of gets his Wi-Fi connected.
Yeah, so the thing in regards to developing players, right, and trying to get them, getting here, because it's really here. A lot of times, players believe, your level of belief is usually contingent on past experience. So if you failed a lot, or you haven't had success early in your career playing, if you don't get around the right type of coach, you're not really going to be able to elevate your way of, your approach to the game, or your skills, your abilities. Also, if you've been very successful too early, right? You have guys, certain players who are just, freak athletics, right? Freakish athletically, right? And they're just really good at 10, 11, 12, because they just are just stronger, faster, more athletic. So they don't put the work in, and it's hard to convince them, like, hey, man, like, yeah, you're good now because you're 11. But, once everybody starts catching up, right? Are you going to be prepared for when everybody is the same height? When everybody's gotten a substantial amount of development skill? So it's always that battle, and it's on an individual basis. I always say, I value you all the same, but I'm not going to treat you all the same. I don't treat all of my players the same. Absolutely not. No, you can't do that. I mean, these kids come from different backgrounds. They're raised differently. They have all types of different tendencies and certain things that trigger them and certain things that don't. You can't treat every kid on your team the same. You love them the same, or you give them the same amount of effort and energy, but you have to diagnose these patients. One may have, just a simple cough. The other one may have, the flu or whatever, right? So it's the same thing with coaching. So I just try to really kind of figure out what things in regards to the game and life matter to them. Why are they playing this game? Because, right, for someone like a LeBron James coming to high school, his goals are different. He's trying to go to the league versus, somebody else who's just trying to make their high school team, or just, or just trying to get a little bit better. So maybe they can, start next season. These are just different things. So like, if you're, depending on what your goal is, right, I have to, kind of talk you through what the goal is. Because a lot of kids, you ask them, they don't really know. That's really their person. A lot of these kids don't know what they want. Like some of them are just playing because, they saw it on TV.
Yep.
They mom, they dad wanted to play.
Yeah.
Somebody said, you're tall, so you should play because you're tall. Right? Why are you here? And then once you find that out, then all right, what are your goals? Let's think about it. All right, and this is what you have to do. I'm not suggesting what you should do. I'm not going to suggest nothing. No, this is what you got to do. If you want this is what you got to do. And I'm willing to walk through this process with you, but you got to first know what it is you want.
I thought that all kids said they wanted to go to the NBA. All the kids are not saying that no more.
Every kid says that, or a lot of kids say that. They like the idea. Mm. And then the idea, when you tell them the reality of not that, only, you got more chance of winning the lottery, or that's not, no. The work, the sacrifice. You don't get to go to the party. You don't get to go to all the bashments. You don't get to go hang out and go to the pool every Saturday morning. You got to go to the gym, right? Family trips in the middle of December during winter break. You got games. We can go in for New Year's. We got to happy tomorrow, right? That's different. When you talk about that, then it's like, all right, well. Yeah. So a lot of kids say they want to play pro, but are you willing to put the work on? Are you willing to sacrifice? If you want anything in life that you're doing, you have to sacrifice.
Yeah. So, and y'all can answer this. You mentioned the parents, and that's something I want to touch on to make sure we don't leave off on that. And I know we don't have a tremendous amount of time left, but at what age do you think that parental influence, that parental halo that pushes kids to play sports, right? Motivates them and keeps them going. It's kind of like their engine or their why. When does that kind of fade, you think? Around what age? From in y'all experience. Coach T, I'm gonna go back to you since hopefully your Wi-Fi is correct. You and your Boost Mobile, Cricket Wireless. Hopefully we get a sponsorship.
You said when does that fade?
Yeah, that influence. Because I know you deal heavily with the parents, because the parents is giving you their capital. To train their children. So what? Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't seen it fade.
Okay.
To be honest, I definitely haven't seen it fade. I mean, obviously.
What ages are you going up to? So even like senior year, you still feeling like these kids are playing because their parents are pushing them or training hard because their parents are pushing them?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do you work with that? Like, do you have conversations with the kids, the parents? I mean, at that level, the parents are still there. It's not college. How do you work with that?
You find a why. You give them a why, man. You got to give them one. And you also say, and I tell kids, I said, if this is not what you're serious about, or if this is not what you want, it doesn't make you a bad person. Because the other thing is like, we got it messed up in youth sports where, we're judging, and a part of it is, morons and idiots like Stephen A. Smith who get on ESPN and talk crazy about these players, right? Like they're like talking about them in a kind of crazy fashion, like this is personal, like their performance on the court. So now the kids, right, and they're picking up that kind of same idea. Like if I miss the shot, I'm a bad person. They might not say it even out their mouth, but they just have this idea in their brain, like, oh, like, I didn't get back on defense, I'm a bad person. So you gotta, like, first thing you gotta tell them, like, yo, if this is not what you want to do, it doesn't make you a bad person. But if you're gonna be out here, regardless if you're out here for your family, friends, and there's nothing wrong with doing this for your family too. I tell them that as well. I said, if you want to doing this because you want to make your dad proud, that's not a bad thing. Use that, right? You could use it. You could use anything. You know what I'm saying? But it's more so the thing is like, have something or have a reason to be out here and go after it hard. Not just because you want to make your people proud, which is a very good thing to use to motivate a child. It's not a bad thing, right? But you have this time, you're young. You don't want to look back at this time and say, I didn't give it my all because, I was tripping out because I was worrying about how it would make my dad or my uncle or my older brother feel if I don't perform well. Perform well for you and perform well because you want to make the people around you proud and you want to make yourself proud. So I like to what Tamar's saying, I don't see a fade. It could be, kid could like, pretty much his freshman year be like, I'm doing this because I love the game. Or senior year, I'm doing this because I love the game. Or a kid could be out there until they are grown men, my age, still playing to fulfill some type of, dream that their father or somebody else had.
T, that's all you got. That's the long and short. They don't ever fade away. The parents.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, no. To be honest, unless there's a parent that kind of understand, like if you have a parent that played, or then maybe they'd be like, it's truly just, all right, now I'm gonna let go and it's up to my son or it's up to my daughter to figure it out. You may have certain parents that's like that, especially the ones who either played or was a that kind of understands. But nah, I really don't see it fade. Really don't see it fading. Yeah.
I got a real good question for you guys, especially for the youth, the guys that like yourself that coach the youth. With communication these days, right? And the guys that don't really know how to communicate. One of the things that I want to hear from you is, how are you guys going about communication with your players? And how is the communication being received by the players? John, T, whoever wants to go first, man.
Oh, so yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm bipolar.
Okay.
Like there's times where I am just like completely irate in practice and games, and there's times where I'm just like very like this, very calm.
So you playing with emotions. You're using psychological warfare.
It's psychology. Yeah, coaching is psychology, sure. Because you can't go off all the time, because after a while they are not going to like when I go off, like they know it's time to get it together.
Yeah.
Like it's like, all right, we got away with enough. It's time to stop the game. Coach ain't playing. And that's the thing. That's all. It's just, you have to always find something to trigger, some sort of change in their, performance and their behavior. So it's not as simple as just like, you could be in their face all you want, but like some kids, they don't care about that. They're used to it. Some kids are used to it. It's like that don't faze them. Some kids, like you do that and they melt down and they can't function, and you don't want that either. So you have to kind of pick your spots as a coach and say, I'm going to, try to communicate or make sure I have some type of balance or level-headedness, because yes, like, as coaches, we are performers. We're performing out there.
Oh, absolutely.
When you got to deal with referees and you got to get them to blow the whistle, you can't talk to them any type of way. Sometimes you gotta smooth talk them. If you're trying to get a kid, to do something like be unselfish and dive on the floor and box out and sacrifice their body, you gotta amp them up a little bit. You gotta talk. You gotta inflate their head up a little bit. Some guys you gotta boost up their ego, but some guys don't have it. So it's you are in you, that thing is a performance. It's a stage for you. It is.
All right. And T, what about you, man?
Well, I'm a very communicated coach, animated coach, passionate coach, but yeah, I try my best to try to enforce or emphasize communication. Obviously, I'm coaching AAU basketball, high school basketball. So we use, whether it's text, Team Snap, every source possible, but I just kind of always encourage communication. I'm big on communication, like with everything. I'm kind of like, that's like one of my biggest OCD when it comes down to that. And because I know how important communication is. And it's just crazy that in this day and age with technology, social media, like these kids is communicate fantastic on that, but you see them, they don't talk on the court, or they don't talk on the side, or so it's definitely a disconnect. So I just try my best to try to like really emphasize and teach them how to talk, how to communicate. Like John said, every kid is not the same. So, one kid may respond to me screaming at them. Another kid may not respond and stuff like that. But yeah, just the dynamic, like communication in itself, in its whole, definitely nowadays has changed a whole lot. So I'm just constantly, and it sounds like a broken record, but I'm constantly always trying to emphasize like the importance of communicating. Some of them get it, some of them don't, but it is what it is. And then I also try to have the parents also reinforce it as well. A lot of these parents don't know. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to use.
That's people in general, coach.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know how to use something or look at something. So yeah.
So I want to ask y'all. Because this is something that's been talked about a lot. I've seen it on different programs on television, ESPN, you name it. The state of youth sports. What changes need to be made to put youth sports into a better place?
None. You have crackhead parents and infidels running you get youth sports is professional sports. I tell people that, like, the high school, if you're trying to play college ball, you have signed up for professional sports. That's what it is. It's not a developmental league. It's not a league for fun or
qualify that statement for us. Why you say that?
Are the refs getting paid?
Yeah.
Good money. Coaches getting paid? Yes, the refs and coaches. Yeah, the refs for college games, they're getting paid some good money. Coaches getting paid?
Well, no. When I talk about you, I want to go even younger than that. I want to go so more.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? That's where they're trying to get to.
Got it.
So, right, what the kids are signing up for, they're signing up for professional sports. Yeah, like high school is not professional sports, but they're signing up to get to a professional level. So their approach needs to be a professional. It's not, and it's business at that point, right? Because there's just so much money now that could be made. It's not going back. Nothing's going to change. You as a parent need to make sure you're doing right by your kid, making sure you're encouraging them, getting them good coaches, good training, letting them know what they're actually being involved in. Because once you go to these AAU tournaments and stuff like that, that is a profession. You're basically that's a combine at this point, man. Like everybody's there and the coach is there with these notepads. Dudes is, marking down this and, they got articles going nonstop. There's cameras everywhere. This is what people signed up for. If you don't like it, go to the Y and play, or go to the, small rec league.
LA Fitness.
Yeah, go to LA Fitness and do that, or play outside in front of your house and just do that. But like a lot of people, a lot of parents, and because of what I do for a living, I talk to these people all the time, right? And they want their kid to play in college. They want their kid to get recruited. They want their kid to get scouted. They want their kid to get an NIL deal and all this other stuff. Okay, you sure? Because it's a business at that point, and you have to be a professional. You have to be to places on time. You got to be to games, workouts on time. You got to take care of everybody. You can't eat McDonald's and Popeyes and chicken sandwiches and Big Macs, and you can't eat Pizza Hut like that. You can't do that stuff. You got to drink water. You got to go to the weight room. You got to hire a trainer. Because this is what you signed up for. So in youth sports, right, the biggest thing is the parents need to understand what they're getting involved in and stop acting silly and stupid when business is being conducted. Meaning, if your kid isn't playing, you can't cuss the coach out. You got to get your kid better. Now, there's certain situations, very rare, where a coach has a vendetta against your kid, but that's not 100% of the time. It's not even 90 or even 50%.
What is it? How many percent? What's the percentage?
Right. Most kids can't play. Most kids are not even Division III players. We're talking about specifically basketball.
Yeah.
Most of them are not. They have to work to get themselves to that level. I know D3 players. I got friends who are D3 players. Them dudes are nice. You got to lift weights to get it to that level. You got to condition. You got to be able to run a mile in under 6 minutes to get to play at that level.
That's right.
Are you willing to do that?
Can anyone here run a mile in under 6 minutes right now?
Right now,
you cannot.
Probably
you lying.
6:30 right now. 6:30.
I think Coach T probably the only one.
Oh yeah, Tamar could probably run it. Yeah, but seriously, so people are getting mad because like, all right, well, the AU coach, he blah, blah, blah. These are business transactions you are involved in at this point now, right? So parents act accordingly. You can't go into IBM and act a fool, can you? No, you cannot if you're working there. You can't go to Tesla or any of those corporate offices if you're working there and act any type of way. So if you're a parent and you're trying to seriously get involved in youth sport, because most parents who get their kids involved in youth sports is because they want them to play in college, and college is a professional league. So everybody, all the parents need to understand, you're getting involved in professional sports, so act like a professional.
Jay, I want you to answer that question. Have you had, because you coach high school ball now, I know you're a director of the sports. What's the name of the school that you're working at now?
So I coach.
Castle Hill?
I coach at St. Anne's School in Rock Hill High School, in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and I am a regional director for Yes I Can Basketball, which is a youth basketball organization, runs a lot of leagues, camps, trainings, things like that. I have had a few parents try to, whether it's about playing time or their kid getting recruited and all this stuff, and try to come at me. The thing is, right, and I shut a lot of that stuff down because I'm like, I'm assuming you know more than me. Okay. How many Division I players you coach? Well, 0. How many Division II players you coach? The answer is always 0. How many pros you coach? 0. You play, did you get a scholarship to play college basketball? No. So the comment, they could go there. And it's like, I don't really, the thing is that I care about the kids, but I'm indifferent when it comes to any kid over another. I don't care because like, you're a 3-star recruit. All right. So was I. So I don't like you're not better than me. You know what I'm saying? You're not better than me. Mm-hmm. You're not, so the thing is like, I'm not enamored or like, I'm never going to do anything for a kid or do anything to a kid out of any type of emotional, like it. I'm just here to coach them and put them in the best position to be successful. And most parents, 99.9% of the parents that I've ever dealt with, I ain't really had no problems with because they understand that I'm very straight up and down. Now, some of these parents maybe do have grievances that they should have with some of these other high school coaches because, like I said, 95% of the high school coaches have no clue what they're doing. So I get that, but me, no. Me, no. We don't do that here. So my thing, and most of the parents, if you ask them that are dealt with me, they have nothing but good things to say about me. There may be a few who may not like my approach, or they may not like the way I said something, or
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that too. And I'm not even but you ignore how I sound and listen to what I'm saying.
There goes that communication again. Coach T, hop back in here, man.
Yo, can you hear me now? Yo, this is crazy.
So have you had some contentious parents or any type of interactions like that due to playing time or the personal player package that you provide as far as training is concerned? They feel like their kid didn't improve enough and things like that. Have you had any kind of tough conversations with parents?
I mean, can you guys hear me?
You're good. You're good.
Good.
All right, cool. Yeah, but I think it's the nature of the business, right? So, I mean, I've been doing this for 11 years. So to say I did not would be lying, right? So, I mean, it's a lot of players actually that I felt didn't improve. I felt I just wasn't the right fit, and it is what it is. But I do have parents that have been with me for so many years. Like I got guys that's in college now that I've been with since they was in 6th or 7th grade. So, but yeah, I have had my share of experiences with parents, and just this one spring I had a parent that was very, very upset with their son's opportunity in regards to them being who the parent thought his son can be. So, but it is what it is. But for me, it doesn't change who I am as a coach. It doesn't change, my system and the team. But yeah, I have had some situations. Nothing too crazy, but definitely somewhere it's this is not a good fit. Because like I said, everybody's not for everybody, so but yeah.
Respect to that.
I want to jump back in and kind of just give the listeners a little bit of communicational breakdown. And speaking to John's point too, I think you hit on some things. And if you weren't, I want to make sure that as you finish listening to this podcast, you educate yourselves on communication and the levels and percentage of how communication is dealt, right? So 55% of communication is nonverbal. Right? That's just the actual fact. 38% of communication is your tone of voice, how it's being delivered, right? If you're yelling it. And then the part that Coach Jay was just talking about is the actual words, and that's 7%. So when you're being coached up by these guys, right, your coaches that you have, and say they're hot in the moment and they're yelling and screaming, always get to that 7%, which is the actual words. Take the actual words. That's the coaching. The emotions and the nonverbal stuff, it's also added to communication, man, but the actual words is what matters. And because it's only 7%, that's why it's very important for you to make sure you're paying attention all the way through and through to what your coaches are saying. And that's for the listeners, right? And for the coaches as well, something to take away and maybe start to think about a little bit more as you go into your coaching. I got a 2-part question for both of you guys as we kind of get through this. And these questions to me are really important. I want to know your coaching philosophy, right? What is your philosophy as a coach, right? That's the one question. The second part question is growth, right? I want to know from when you started to where you are today, what did you change within your growth to become better? All right. So the first one is coaching philosophy. Whoever want to take it, go for it. And then the next one, I want to hear about your growth.
Yeah. As far as coaching philosophy goes, as far as the X and O side, that changes depending on the person. Mm-hmm. Right. That's one thing. As far as philosophy and like non-negotiables with me, is unselfishness. You got to be willing to sacrifice, right? You got to be willing to work hard for your teammates, right? You have to, because like I made a mention to my players before last season. I said, I got 3 seniors here. I said, my job is to make sure you guys have a great senior year, and my job is to make sure the younger guys are prepared for next year. But as younger guys, you need to go all out. Yeah, you have time, but when you're a senior, you're going to want those younger players to go hard for you because this is your last go around. So it's always about sacrifice, unselfishness, playing hard, competing, and not taking plays off, right? We can't do that in life. You take a play off in real life, you know, imagine, right? A light bill don't get paid. You know what I'm saying? You ain't, your child needs this, your wife needs that. So this is all just preparation for life. So my philosophy is just trying to make sure that they're prepared for life. And it's about sacrifice. It's about unselfishness. It's about caring about your teammates. It's about going hard and going after, whatever it is that you want, you got to go after it 100%. And I stick to that, as far as philosophy is concerned, right? And I believe the second question was,
what have you done as a coach to show your growth, and what is
so that's a good question. When I first started coaching, I was very crazy. I was nuts. Like I was nuts, man. Like tomorrow saw me, I was nuts. And I think part of the reason why was because I was probably the last generation who came out of those groups of crazy ass coaches. Like where, they call you all types of wild names. they call you, everything but a child of God, right? And it's
I've heard some crazy shit.
Yeah. I heard some crazy stuff, right? So I think I was like towards the tail end of that. Like and the approach began to change as I got like to my senior year of college, right? To where it was more kind of balanced, right? So when I first started coaching, I thought that was, the way, because that's what I was used to, right? And then I had to realize, like, especially once you start learning really about your players and, their family situations, home situations, you kind of learn to empathize with them a lot more and understand that, sometimes they need you to lift them up. A lot of these kids don't have very high self-esteem. Me, myself, was always like, my thing was always like, all right, well, I'm going to go hard as a player and, just because that's just what you do, or, you just try to concentrate, do your best. And like, when you don't do well, you feel bad. And you kind of wonder, some of the players that I was coaching, like, why can't you just go, like, do it? Why can't you just do it? And you just a different approach now. So like now I'm a lot more kind of balanced, right? And I try to make sure that I don't disrespect my players, right? I'm not going to disrespect them by calling them out their name, by calling them something, and, I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to respect them, and we're going to have a level of respect towards each other, and we're going to communicate, and we're going to talk things through. And when discipline needs to happen, discipline will take place, and it will come swiftly and with full force. But if it does, but if it's, sometimes, guy doesn't know he's running slow.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you're running slow, just so you know. like you need to run faster. I was like, and then you use, and you try to use the leaders on your team as examples, right? You try to find those leaders to say, like, you need to do it like, well, so-and-so, right? Because it's one thing for me to tell them, but it's one thing if they see their teammate doing it,
I like that a lot. And what about you, T? What's your philosophy, man?
The biggest thing is culture with me in regards to leadership, work ethic, accountability is huge. And yeah, just, being passionate. Now, the other question was same thing with John. I think I have improved over the years with my tone and how I'm saying things and me acting out and stuff like that. So I definitely have improved as a coach throughout the years with that. But I think people just know my heart. They know my intentions. So they don't really kind of like see that. You know, they don't really see that in a negative light, but I had to be very conscious of myself, because I mean, it was starting to mess with me mentally, you know, because, you know, you want what's best for the kid, and sometimes you may want it more than they want it for themselves. And at times that's how I was coaching, and it wasn't good mentally. So I definitely have improved over the years with that. But the biggest thing with my philosophy is definitely culture. This is how it's going to be. And if you want to be a part of that, this you know what you got to do. And then we pretty much take it from there. So
All right, good answer. Before your Wi-Fi craps out, that was good. We
It,
got it
it
all.
was just about it, man.
Good.
It was on his last leg, boy. I tell you,
The editor for this episode is going
got his work cut out.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, get it done. Well, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead and do your thing, man. What else you got?
Yeah. So I know we and I should have known talking to you guys that it was going to be an epic, because you guys are both a wealth of knowledge where, you know, the coaching is concerned, the kids are concerned, the culture. You got this is only like scratching the surface. It's almost like you got to do like a series with y'all, honestly. But I want to know from your standpoint, this is probably my last question. From both of your standpoints, if we could get Coach T to his Wi-Fi to cooperate, what mentality or what advice would you give? Yeah, advice. What advice would you give to a youth that you cared about tremendously, like a nephew? You know, I know you got a fresh nephew. He fresh out. Amniotic fluid still on his ears, Jay. He fresh out. What would you tell your nephew coming up? He's involved in sports. What advice or guidance would you give him for him to be successful and be happy and to enjoy his playing days, his career, whatever it is?
Yeah, that's a great question. My thing is, gotta know why you're out here. And I said, as men, it's important and it's imperative that anything we do in life, that we are competitive. Doesn't mean you're always gonna win, but you gotta be competitive. It's not good enough to be subpar, mediocre, or give half-ass effort. It just is. It's not okay. Whether it's in your job or sport you're playing. So my thing is like, why are you here? Find a reason why you're playing. Go after it hard, because you do not get this time back again. And the adults are going to judge your performance, right? And as a kid, it's tough to tell you like, well, don't take it personally, which you have to learn. You can't take this stuff personally. Because like I said previously, this is professional sports that you're getting involved in. And it's business. It's not personal. So when that person says, you know, we don't think you're good enough, or we don't think you're a Division I player, or we don't think that you're going to be able, you know, you're not tall enough, you're too slow, you're not. Just use it as motivation at that point. Just find motivation. And don't take it personal, but use everything, any critique, anything that anyone says that may not, you know, in regards to your game or your performance in a negative light, use it as a way to motivate you to become better. Because in life, people are going to say things about you that you may not necessarily agree or like. And you have to use it as motivation. You can't cry and whine about it. You don't get to do that. So that would be my advice to my nephew or any other young players that, you know, find fuel to keep you going and to keep you motivated.
I love that, man. And, you know, I started a new job. I had mentioned to Jamel earlier today. It's been challenging for me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of newness, different culture, different vibes, different personalities from people. And you just gave advice to the youth and your nephew or whoever you would value in their sport careers. Man, I'm taking that advice for myself. That resonated well with me, man. As men, we got to be competitive. You know, we got to fight. We got to, you know, rise to the occasion. So I'm gonna take a bit of that. So thank you, sir. Coach T, you think we're gonna try you? Unmute yourself. Let's see if we dare.
you got me.
Yup. Stay wherever you are. You stay right there. So same question to you. You had a loved one, nephew, son, whatever you have, right? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, just leave no stones unturned. If this is what you love to do, just go after it with everything. And the biggest thing, like to piggyback what Jay said, always be coachable. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you're coachable, you're definitely you're definitely going to get better. You're definitely going to grow and develop. Don't take what people say to heart, right? Don't get in your feelings about certain things. But this is something you love to do and you really enjoy it. Give it your all, right? Leave no stones unturned. The biggest thing, just what was the quote Kobe got? What it is, rest at the end, not in the middle, right? So just leave nothing behind, give it all you got, and everything else to take care of itself. Whether that's with basketball, life, or whatever, right? Just give it your all. If that means definitely means being competitive, competing, and being very, very hardworking and driven and ambitious. But just and that's the thing with me. I really, really, truly love being a service to people. Whether it was basketball was just a vehicle to do that. But this is what I enjoyed doing every day, right? So, yeah.
Very well said by both of you. And we just want to make sure that we include both men and women. So that's to everybody. I know we
absolutely
be the man and things like that, but we want to make sure we're talking to everyone that's out there that plays sports. We want those messages are echoing all the way through and through. I know that this is a good one, man. We've been going for a little minute, man.
We could keep going, I'm sure, for another hour, but I don't want to.
We could, but I do want to say this, man. Like from the coach, from a coach to the coaches, and also just from the sports psychology standpoint, which is a very, very integral piece in sports. We all deal with different things. We all come from different backgrounds, and we're all trying to play the same game. So that's it's a lot of different pieces that are added to the puzzles of trying to be successful, right? You guys as coaches, man, I want to say thank you for doing it for all the right reasons. I want to say thank you for working with these kids for all the right reasons. And we need more guys like you. We need more women like you. We need more people like you to continue to build these young people up to become successful as they can be, right? So thank you for taking the time out of the day. Mal, as always, genuine, easygoing, but always on point, asking all the right questions, man. So I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to bringing you guys back on again. All right, we may have some more focus topics that we can talk about that you guys see. If you guys see some things that are coming up the pipe that we should be aware of, let's bring it to our attention so we could talk about it. Let's use this platform to continue to educate these athletes on the certain things that are needed for them to be successful.
Indeed. Just quickly shout out. I'll do it for him. Jay, go ahead, man. I'll do it for Coach T after you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at just some of the stuff that I have going on, if you are in the North Carolina, Charlotte, Rock Hill, Fort Mill, just area, I'm coaching currently at CNN School in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I work with Yes I Can Basketball, which is based in Charlotte and starting up in Fort Mill, Rock Hill area. So if you have young players looking for training, looking for a place to get started as far as playing the game is concerned, have them reach out to me on IG. It's at Yes I Can Basketball. That's where we are. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. I put a lot of different types of content on there. It's not just strictly basketball or sports stuff. So if you want to get hip to what's going on in the world, just follow me on I am Jay David. That's on Instagram. I am JAYEDAVID on there. And feel free. Also, I work in recruiting. So if you have questions about anything recruiting wise,
that's important.
Yeah. It's like anything when it comes to recruiting for the next level, all sports. It doesn't necessarily have to be just basketball. Feel free to reach out to me too as well.
Very nice, man. Very nice. And I did add, when I was writing your bio up, I said coach, recruiting, savant, sports director, and activist. He is an activist. Jay never met a social topic that he did not want to broach. So let's not let me throw that out there. So if you do follow his personal IG, you're gonna get some of that. I want to shout out Coach T's social media handles. We have the official Coach T, just the letter T, on Instagram. A ton of clips of the players that he's worked with. I mean, it's so beautiful to see. I didn't see kids go from string bean to Green Giant, like under Coach T's tutelage. I mean, kids that couldn't dribble a basketball to, I mean, just beautiful. It's amazing to see. And so many times I have said, I've reached out to him when he made these posts, like, that's the same kid. It's so beautiful to see the growth. So you guys got to check that out on Instagram. So it's the official Coach T. He has a Twitter as well. He doesn't use it much, but that is PYS_247. I have to shout these guys out again, man. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining. Thank you for what you're continuing to do. You guys are changing lives. I cannot begin to tell you. I don't even think you guys know the impact that you really have. You could never know. You could never know. It's really the players that feel it the most, and they know, and they never forget. Because I had a coach who I think about him every day, and he doesn't know that. And it's not something that I need to tell him or something, that I talk about. But I literally think about him probably every single day because of what he did for me in my life. And you guys are going to have so many of those, so many, because you shaped and molded so many minds, so many lives of these young kids, man. So shout out to you guys one more time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
You got
You're done.
You got to thank you. Hold on.